Good evening. Welcome back to the city of New Orleans. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. We're tracking Hurricane Ida, which is forecast to rapidly intensify as it comes across the Gulf of Mexico tonight into Saturday and Sunday, and now forecast to come in as a Category 4 hurricane in about 48 hours. But I just saw this from the emergency management folks in New Orleans. Storm surge warning is up. We've talked about that. Lake Pontchartrain, 4 to 7 feet. Lake Bourne, 7 to 11 feet. And they're saying outside the levee system and portions of the West Bank, where modeling now indicates that some levee overtopping may occur. So keep that in mind. The levees were designed post-Katrina with resilience measures and overtopping in mind. So they're expecting that there may be some overtopping of the levee on the West Bank. And there are evacuations now. Tomorrow, St. Charles Parish by 5 already underway. Lafourche and Plaquemines Parish and the town of Grand Isle, about 1,500 people, all the way down at the end of the road. That is not the place to be when you have an oncoming major hurricane. Back here in New Orleans, we've got EMS and fire department staging water rescue, high water rescue vehicles and boats in flood-prone areas because we're going to have a lot of rainfall and a lot of wind. But the rainfall could cause flash flooding in some areas. And, you know, the only way to get the water out of this area is to pump it out. So the pumps can work, but only can handle so much water. The pumps do take out, I saw this today, I was amazed at how much water they pump out, 1/3 of a million gallons per second. So that's a lot of water they can handle, but 3 pumps are down, and they're going to try to divert that water to other pumps to make up for those 3 pumps. Winds here now, forecast to gust at least to hurricane force, but they may gust higher depending on the wobble on the track. And if it does wobble farther east, that means we get more rainfall here in New Orleans, which means more issues with localized flooding inside the levee system, and then more pumping and the whole, it's a feedback process. So we're going to watch this, future model runs, Dr. Nab, but the stage is set right now for a very dangerous hurricane, even if we don't get the strongest, absolute strongest winds right here. We've got all these other issues, and even winds of 75, 80, 90 miles an hour will cause structural damage and knock out quite a bit of power here in the Big Easy.
Yeah, trees could come down, and it could end up, even if you don't get the eastern eye wall, you could end up getting as strong a winds maybe as happened in Seidel last year.
Welcome back to Morgan City, Louisiana. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. We're covering Hurricane Ida around the clock now, all the way into Monday evening. Landfall expected sometime tomorrow afternoon, maybe as late as tomorrow evening. It's likely going to landfall south and east of here. Terrebonne Parish, maybe, Jefferson Parish. But the impacts extend away from the center, in fact, outside of the cone. And we'll check back with Justin Michaels coming up. He's way over in Gulfport, Mississippi. We've got 10 crews fanned out to keep you updated as the storm rolls in tomorrow and the weather goes downhill dramatically. Now, here in Morgan City, the concern is not the Atchafalaya River because we're up on a 20-foot-plus flood wall. The gates are closed. The water's not going to get over the flood wall from the river as it gets pushed up the river because of the wind blowing onshore. That surge downriver at the Gulf, at the mouth, is expected to be upwards of about 7 to 10 feet. But the real concern here is what happens on this side of town. There's Charles Peak getting ready to put his drone up and give you some great shots during Stephanie Abrams' coverage coming up in just a few minutes. But it's this area. The town itself is protected from the river, but then you have all the rain coming down and the flash flooding. We've got a flash flood watch that goes all the way until Tuesday morning, although the bulk of the rain is going to fall tomorrow afternoon into Monday morning, early Monday morning. So we've got that to be concerned with, in addition to winds that could gust over 90 miles an hour. Power outages are given, and likely some kind of structural damage here in Morgan City. And if you go over to Houma, there is no levee, no wall. That water is going to come right up through Terrebonne Parish. The forecast surge there, 10 to 15 feet, Jeff. And with no elevation, barely any elevation increase from the Gulf to Houma on 90, it's just going to roll right in there as Ida makes landfall.
Yeah, it looks like you may be in definitely the better position there, Mike. And something tells me you're going to need the rain jacket as we head through the next 24 hours. All right, thank you very much, Mike Seidel. We'll be back with you shortly.
Now, farther to the west, we head to Morgan City, Louisiana. That's where we find meteorologist Mike Seidel. Mike, not quite as intense there, but still we've got problems. And again, a lot of the state of Louisiana up against enough gusty wind to take out power.
Yes, and our power's been out here for a couple of hours now, and we've had winds now gusting close to 50 miles an hour. Here's the story. Look at the radar. You can see how just a few miles makes a big difference. Here in Morgan City, now getting some of the heaviest rain we've had all day. You can see a band is trying to get in here, but with the storm, with Ida now jogging north, that can really save us from the worst of the weather, especially the eye wall. I don't think it's going to get this far west, and also up towards Baton Rouge, because we're about on the same longitude. So again, we're going to get the wind gust. We've got power out. We've had some trees down. In fact, take a look at this. Charles Peak found this uprooted tree here in Morgan City, and this is going to be the kind of the flavor of what we're going to see around here. Not enough wind yet to do any kind of structural damage or take roofs off, but boy, it has gotten quite blustery here the past hour or so as the fringe effects of Hurricane Ida move this way. Power is out again. About 500,000 customers without power in Louisiana. Remember, that's customers, and if you multiply by that by four, you're talking, almost 1.5 million, 2 million people so far. So we're going to be following the jog of Hurricane Ida. If it continues to jog north, you can take the radar and you can translate the back edge, the western edge. Lafayette, you're fine. If you left Lafayette, went to Texas, so far in Morgan City, we're in pretty good shape as far as damage goes. But again, power is out. We'll see how long it takes to get on. But once again, Dr. Nab, we are lucky at this point that we're not getting the ferocity of the eye wall and the kind of rain and wind that we've seen just 30 miles to our east over in Homa. They're getting battered right now. They've got that flash flood warning, severe wind warning. It's a big, big difference from just down the road on US 90 to where I'm standing here in Morgan City. So we'll see how it goes. But again, a northward movement keeps Morgan City and Baton Rouge and points west out of the worst of Ida this evening and overnight.
Yeah, and even Homa is on the western eye wall. It's the center is passing east of them, so even Homa isn't getting necessarily the strongest winds. Let me give you the big picture here.